This congregation is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to its life, we affirm our lives within it.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
This morning, I want us to just take a few moments to contemplate a few questions. So if you just want to take a few deep breaths, maybe close your eyes, and I'm just going to ask a few questions for us to think about. What do you want to be known for? Is there something in your life you would love or are ready to create and bring to fruition? Who are the people in your life who you admire? What do you admire about them? What are they doing right? And what are you doing right in your own life? What would you like to experience more of? And finally, the last question, what is enough? A few years ago, I was talking to Cameron, my husband, and I asked him that question. I was thinking about the stewardship sermon for a few years ago, and I asked Cameron, what is enough? And without even hesitating, he looked at me and he said, enough is whatever I have right now. And I realized that he's right. And I realized that for the most part, that's how he lives his life. When I first met him, he had a clean plate, a brown blanket, and a hamster. And he was living in a little room at the Iowa School of Theology. And I believe my mom eventually decided that he really actually needed a set of his own dishes. So I think not too long after she met him, he had more than just a plate. But 20 years later, we have a whole lot more now. But I realize that he hasn't really changed. And I think he does a good job of sort of living by that ethic of enough is what I have right now. Every 3 years, the Unitarian Universalist Association puts on something called the Ministers Institute. And we haven't had one, well, I think they maybe just had one virtually a few weeks ago, but we hadn't had one for a while because of COVID. And so I think the last one I went to was about 3 or 4 years ago. And I attended the stewardship track of the Institute to learn how to bring prosperity into our congregations. And one of the presenters shared that the research has shown that in America, people statistically start to feel like they have enough at $3 million. $3 million. That's when people, when they're asked, say, I would start to feel like I can relax, I can calm down, I'm secure. If I had $3 million, I would have enough. So what does that mean for the rest of us? Right? But it's something to think about, because when I ask you, when I just throw out that question, what would enough feel like for you? Would 300 million would be enough? Oh. Did I say 300 million or 3 million? 3 million. Okay, right. So I think 3 million would probably be enough for me. But it's just something to think about. And I think the point is because really that sense of security is an internal conversation that we have with ourselves. And that's why you see multimillionaires and Hollywood people and people who have tons and tons of wealth still living their lives and interacting with the people around them as if they don't have enough. And I think it's because the experience of enough is an internal experience. It's not an external experience. And so we can have all the financial wealth in the world and not feel like we're filled up if we don't know how to let that inner sense enter into us. And so I bring this up to think about because we are entering into our stewardship campaign. This is the month where we get to talk about money. And this year we're combining our service auction with our stewardship campaign. So most of you have probably received your pledge cards in the mail, and we'll be inviting you to fill them out and maybe send them back next week during the auction. And so what we do every year is we talk about our resources and what we do with our resources, and whether or not this faith community is a place that you feel like you'd like to share your resources and be part of what we're doing. But in order for that to feel good, we have to feel good about what we're doing and why. So over the last few years, I've given a number of sermons about the sacredness of our parking lot. And a few years ago, I asked, why does it matter that you give your money to help us keep our little parking lot out there paved? You know, because there are a lot of parking lots in Grand Junction that probably need paved. So why should your dollars go to this particular parking lot? And it's probably not because we love tar, but maybe because this is the parking lot that a lot of people ride their bikes on when they're coming, before COVID, when they were coming to our Black Lives Matter meetings. Maybe because this is the parking lot that people gathered at many years ago before the Women's March. Maybe because it's the parking lot that somebody walked on for the first time, wondering if for the first time in their life, they would truly be authentically welcomed as who they are. Why do we pay to have a good looking website? And why do we pay Maya to make sure that we have a good looking website? Maybe it's because people who are thinking about moving to Grand Junction need to be able to get online and say, Will there be a group of like-minded people who will welcome me? Will there be a group of people who I can connect with and immediately feel part of this community from a more progressive point of view? Will there be people in the Grand Valley who I can feel safe with? That's why we put money into our website, so that people can find us. For many years now, this little congregation has been very much a part of the UUA, which is the Unitarian Universalist Association, and we always give our full pledge to that association. And it was so important to one of our elders named Dwayne that we contributed our fair share every year. And I think we're going on having contributed our full fair share every year for almost 40 years now. And we say, well, why would we want our money to go to the larger UU community? Why don't we just keep it here for ourselves? We have a lot of work to do here. What's the purpose of paying our fair share? Well, without the Unitarian Universalist Association, our children would not have OWL, which is Our Whole Lives, which is a comprehensive sexuality education program that starts at the time that they're in kindergarten and goes all the way through adulthood. And when you live in a valley that doesn't want to talk about anything like that, we, along with the Congregational Church, are probably the only faith communities talking about that in a healthy educational way with our children. The same thing about a few years ago, we had some energy to try to get the OWL program into some of the public schools because there is a non-faith-based aspect to it. And we were making progress, and then COVID happened. But without the larger association, we wouldn't be able to offer that to our children in this valley that desperately need it. Without the funds from our collective community in the UUA, we wouldn't be coming together to have the resources to be a safe place for our teenagers and young women and LGBTQ children who are looking for community in the valley. The UUA also has a program called Black Lives of UU, and it is designed specifically for young men and women of color who love us in our congregations and sometimes feel very alone. We love our children of color here in this congregation, and if we look around, they also need a larger community that looks a little bit more like them. That's what Black Lives of UU offers. And so we give every year because of who we are in this valley, but we also give because of who we are nationally and internationally as Unitarian Universalists, as the voices, the progressive religious voices that so desperately need to be heard right now in this world, in this valley, and in this country. And so I invite us to think about all of these different ways that we can contribute, that we do contribute, that we are and can and will be forging a new path this year. We don't, like I said, pave the parking lot or turn the lights on in the building just for the sake of having a parking lot. We do it because of who we are in this world and what Unitarian Universalism brings to this world and what UUCGV brings to this valley. Because our voices matter. What we do matters. Who we are in the context of this valley in the year 2022 matters. And so this is why once a year I stand up here and I invite us to share our financial resources. But not only that, we talk about time, talent, and treasure. Because not everybody has all of the time in the world, and not everybody has the same type of talent, and not everybody has the treasure, the $3 million. But every person here has something that they can be here and be part of and give. Whether it's your time, we need that time. We need people to be downstairs with our beautiful children. And we need people to be helping me learn how to do this owl and when to hit mute and when to hit unmute and be back there learning how to do the sound system. And we need the talent of people who know how to create beautiful gardens or have a beautiful aesthetic artistic eye that helps this sanctuary feel so beautiful and lovely every Sunday. We need you. We need all of you. And it's not okay for anybody to say, oh, I just don't have anything to give, or I don't have anything to offer, because everybody is valuable. Everybody here, everybody on Zoom, everybody who hasn't found us yet has inherent worth and dignity and value. And I remember a few years ago, I was having a conversation with somebody about this time of the year, and she said, I don't feel like I have anything to offer. And I said, all you have to do is show up. Just by showing up and being here and being present every Sunday, you have no idea how much you're actually offering with the kind words and the smile, and before COVID, a gentle hug. All of that matters, and we need to not be turning it into a hierarchical type of system that says this person has more talent, or this person has more money, or this person has more time, because that's not what it's about. And, I've always thought, a lot of churches, a lot of faith communities measure the success of their congregation based on how many members they have. I don't measure that. I don't measure success on how many people we have here or how many members sign the book. I measure success on how healthy we are as a congregation. Are we treating each other with kindness and dignity and respect? Do we have systems in place where people feel like they know where they belong and how they can help? Do we have support systems in place so if somebody is going through a really difficult time, they can reach out to somebody on the care team or me and know that they will get the help that they need? To me, that is what a successful, healthy congregation is. It doesn't really have anything to do with the numbers. And yet, my belief also is that if we are being authentic and joyful and healthy and kind and caring for each other, caring for ourselves and caring for the larger valley, then our numbers are going to increase, because we have become a place where people want to be around us and be with us and be part of something important that we are doing and that is happening. And to me, that is what forging a new path is really about. And for those of you that were here last week, a faith community is about being serious, it's about caring for each other, but it's also about joy and friendship and laughter and jokes and fun. And that I had fun at the service last week, but we also had such wisdom from people in our congregation sharing about who they are and how they have been in this world. And we're going to have fun at the auction next Saturday. But we have the fun and we have the community and we come together so that we can be that safe place. We can be that support system. We can be that network for people who aren't right now having fun in their lives or need a safe spot to land. We can be a resource for them also because we can encompass all of it. And so that's what this building and this space and this community means to me. And so today, this week, as we enter into our stewardship campaign and the auction, and we think about what it means to be part of this community, I just invite us to think, who do we want to be in the world? And we can ask that question individually as individual human beings who each get to bring their own beautiful, authentic, beautiful self and their time, talent, and treasure to this community. And we get to ask that collectively. Who are we as a Unitarian Universalist congregation in the middle of Grand Junction, Colorado in the year 2022? Are we being the highest expression, the most living out and fulfilling our purpose and our mission? Are we doing a good job of that? Do we need to do more? Do we need to do things differently? Do we need to do it more joyfully? Do we need to do it more seriously? Maybe all of the above. I think that we're doing a pretty good job. And I think that we can also continue to be in conversation with ourselves about how to continue to be who we are in this community, in this country. And so as we think about forging a new path, forging is a word of action. And it actually, to forge something and to create a new path, it takes a little bit of strength. But I'd also like us to take a moment to reflect on what strength means. For me, when I think of strength, I think of groundedness. I think that strength is holding steady. Strength is standing your ground when the world around you is going crazy. Strength is connection. Strength is reaching our hands out to other people. Strength is lifting other people up. Strength is partnering with people who are making and being the change they want to see in the world. Strength is taking the time to respond instead of blindly reacting. And true strength, to me, is standing on the side of love. And so as we enter into this season of reflecting on who we are, thinking about where we want to put our time, talent, and treasure this year, I invite you to come to that reflection with strength compassion, courage, joy, and love. Let us close now with some beautiful music, The Road Home.
Ooh.